So you've seen the title. Yes, this is true. Throughout my probably like the past 7 years that I've been doing dropshipping, there were 2 years that I was inactive. Last 5 years and combined with probably like last year, I sold more than $5 million online. And there was a point where I actually was down to my last 10K, even after having accumulated so much sales. And I think this video is gonna be very valuable for you if you are like a beginner, or maybe you already have made some sales, or you're someone that is really scaling and you lost some of it. I want to share a few like some really raw lessons, and I want to break down some of the success that I had, and also many of the failures that I had. And this video, I'm just gonna keep it super real. What actually happened during my last 6 to 7 years of doing drop shipping. I'm gonna break down like each year and actually what happened, the success and the failures that I had, and also the lessons that came out of those events, so you don't actually make the same mistakes that I did in my drop shipping journey. And let's just get right into it. So basically, in 2017, that's when I first had the introduction towards drop shipping. That was when I was about 17 years old. For me, I always been very fascinated with the idea of entrepreneurship. I wanted to basically be financially free since at a very young age. Probably lots of like childhood trauma, things to which kind of like ingrained a lot of drive in me. So towards 17, I tried a few businesses, and drop shipping was actually the fourth business that I tried. And within a relatively short amount of time, after I started drop shipping, I remember it was the 6th month that I actually became successful. And if you actually go through my YouTube channel and you look at the videos like 6, 7 years ago, you'll see that I actually have been posting back then. And and it took me basically about 6 months to go from zero to hitting my first 100K month. I know it's a very, very fast period, a very short period. Most people don't get results like this. But basically, like, why I think I was able to get results so quick back in 2017, 2018. I was putting a lot of work, guys. When I first started out, I was easily testing 3 products or like 3 to 4 products a day. And back then it was very different. You had to like do everything yourself. No chat GPT, no I had to like make the videos myself. It was all like shitty, terrible videos, and we're using only Facebook at the point of time. Now it's called Meta. So I was testing a lot. I was working literally like 8 to 10 hours a day on this dropshipping business every single day while I was going to school. So I was like really invested into making it work. And it wasn't until I was down to my last $100, I kid you not, that I found a winning product, which was actually a magnet. I think I may have made a case study about it in my YouTube channel. By the way, I found this really quirky product, a very strong neodymium magnet, and that product basically sold for 98,000 the next month. I made about, I think, 20 to 25% net, probably a bit low after the refunds and the chargebacks. So that was like my first introduction towards drop shipping and realizing that, oh shit, this is actually real. And ever since then, ever since like 2018 towards early 2019, I just have been going really hard. And I believe almost every single month I did about 100K, or maybe some months I was like maybe breaking even. But in general, I remember like during the 2018 all the way to early 2019, that was pretty much like my one of my the best job training period that I had throughout my career. Besides last year, because last year actually job shipping was really good for me. But back then when I started out, all the way till 2023 before I stopped doing job shipping, I would say that 2018 to early 2019 was like the best period for me. That was when things were going very well, consistently hitting 6 figure months, even hitting 300K months, 400K months. And during late 2019 towards 2020 is when my sales slowed down a lot. And basically for me, I was in a position where around early 2019, that was when basically I had the most amount of cash savings back then. I think it was about $150,000 of saved up after spending. Bro, the thing about me is I was spending crazy, man. I was spending much more than I should have, traveling, doing a bunch of degenerate stuff. I want to get into it. I want to get into the details. You wouldn't want to know. I was doing a lot of degenerate stuff, spending a lot of money. Yeah, so honestly, I was still quite surprised. Back in early 2019, I was able to save 100 plus K in my bank. Um, so things were going well. But until like mid 2019, towards the late 2019 and 2020, things really basically slowed down a lot for me. Number one, I wasn't able to find winning products as consistently. Number two, my overheads were really crazy. So I had like a project manager. I had like I think at one point I had like 12 to like 13 team members working for me. I was paying them about 13 to 4K, and I had a lot of unnecessary expense. And the thing is, the monthly expenses that I was incurring really wasn't ROI positive. A lot of the team members, I was like really overpaying them. a lot of them, they wasn't like doing the job well, but I was just closing one eye because I thought, you know what, sales was good. Um, and the thing is, when you have such high overheads and such high personal expenses, all you need is just a few break-even months in your business for everything to start crumbling down. Now, I remember back then, right? I was scaling the business, and then when I had like a break-even month, it's literally like when I checked the bank account the next month, like I was down like 30 grand, even after like a break-even month because you had to pay like the overheads. So you're breaking even on like testing on the front end, and then you had to pay your team, you had to pay your silly life choices, your personal expenses, and the next month you're just down like 30 grand. Like, oh shit, what just happened? But I didn't really think about it. My mentality was always like, you know what, I'm just gonna make the money back, which is kind of like good mentality because you had the abundance mindset. But at the same time, that was also destroying my financial stability because I was spending much more than I should have been spending. So that was really the first big mistake, which is overheads were too expensive. My testing wasn't cost effective enough, and I was spending too much on my personal expenses. Okay, so that's about 2019, 2020. In 2021, I basically restructured my business because I was spending too much on on Facebook. I wasn't able to find winners consistently enough, so I thought, okay, you know what, I needed to pivot a little bit. So I went into Google, and at first I actually did pretty well, because I found like a winning product, and I actually made a few case studies on this if you're interested in it. I sold a smartwatch that did over $1 million a year in sales, so that went really well. And then I also had a few other winning products on Google on the side. They were like consistently generating profits monthly, so it was kind of like a good time because I was like building up cash flow again, and I was still partying a lot, still spending a lot of money. But the business was able to basically cover my personal expense and more. So 2021 was like kind of like an okay time for me. I was traveling quite a bit. I remember. Um, the business was consistent, but it wasn't really generating enough profits for me based off how much I was spending. And then in 2022, that's when I basically experienced the biggest bandwidth on Shopify. I actually made a video about this as well. I had 10 plus stores taken down, and ever since that bandwidth, I think I didn't quite recover from it. So from 2022 to 2023, it was a very tough time for me. I had to try to navigate the Shopify ban. I tried to um use different platforms, but things really just it wasn't work out, and my cash flow was starting to bleed dry. And that was when I really started to realize that, okay, I need to take a step back. I need to stop being so stupid. I need to actually find something that works. And to be honest, at that point of time, I around 2023, that's when I kind of had my last straw of dropshipping. I felt like, okay, you know what? I just think like this thing isn't really playing out. I've been doing this for 5 years, and it really got me nowhere. All the money I've made, I spent, made really bad decisions. Um, Lost the money to the business expense as well, like paying the team, paying too much overhead, spending too much on marketing, not being cost effective, not being smart with how I was, just basically making a lot of business mistakes in general. That's when I really decided to, okay, you know what, maybe I should just call it quits. And also at the point of time, I had to go into the army. In Singapore, basically every single man, we have to serve the nation for 2 years. When you turn 18, I kind of push it until I was around like 23. So I went into the army when I was about 23 years old. For me, I went to the Navy to be specific. So in the Navy, I started to learn about forex trading because I saw people were making money on forex. So I was thinking, why not? Maybe I can make it work. And I actually had a few good friends that helped me to get into crypto trading, but unfortunately, I wasn't able to make that work. So I spent 1.5 years learning about forex trading while I was in the Navy. Um, wasn't able to figure that out, unfortunately. And then time kind of just passed by. I was still like grinding and studying every single day, hoping to really had the resolve. I wanted to like really make it work, but I just felt like the whole business model with like forex, it just wasn't um just really, I just didn't really like it, to be honest. It was a little bit too slow for me, and my strategy just perhaps wasn't that good, to be honest. So around 2025, that's when I was speaking to a friend, Jordy. I actually did an interview with him recently, like the previous video. If you want to check it out, you can go there. But basically, this guy, he was doing pretty well in dropshipping. I met him in 2018, and back then I was actually coaching him. Um, So in 2025, when I was speaking to him, I saw that wow, this guy's actually doing really good numbers. Um, I was curious, so I was like, okay, you know what? I was trying to like figure out, okay, how was he still able to make dropshipping work? Because mind you, at the point of time, I pretty much given up the idea of doing dropshipping. You know, I was thinking like, oh man, this thing is just isn't for me anymore. I want to do something different. So I saw the way they was running a business. He was doing fashion drop shipping. He had a really simple process in terms of finding a creative and setting up a store, and everything was so simple. And it really made me realize, it really made me realize the reason why I wasn't able to sustain the business that I had long term. Besides the personal expense wise and the massive overheads that I was paying that wasn't appropriate based off my level of business development back then. It made me realize that the way that I was testing in the past was too cost ineffective. It wasn't efficient enough. I was spending too much to find a winner, and I was kind of like throwing darts on the wall and throwing money on the wall in this case, and it was really tough to find a winner. And sometimes, you know, when you find a winner, it just doesn't really make back enough profits for me to actually cover the testing, cover the team and everything. But then I saw the way he was doing, and it made a lot of sense to me at the point of time. So I was thinking like, okay, you know what? The way he's doing is so much more cost effective, and he's selling in fashion. Fashion seems a lot easier. He's doing it in untapped markets in the EU, and everything just made sense. And that's when in 2025 I decided to give it a go. So I told myself like, you know what? I'm gonna give this a try, and I think I might actually able to make it work this time with drop shipping. So I went and do it. For the first 2 to 3 months, I think I wasn't profitable. I think I was like I lost a little bit of money, but it wasn't a lot. Then in 2025, I actually started doing like in late 2024, like getting back into dropshipping again. Then in yearly 2025, like January all the way to June, that's when I started to make profits of like dropshipping, fashion dropshipping again. But it wasn't like a lot. It was just like enough for me to basically yeah, just enough to like, you know, feed me and stuff. You know, it was like okay money. It wasn't like crazy money. And that really like motivated me to just like continue to push on. And I saw like the way that he was doing things was so efficient. That really inspired me. And then I just kept pushing and pushing. And in August, that's when I really had a breakthrough in with the fashion dropshipping in 2025. Then I think that month I made about $10,000. That was in SGD, I think. So it's about 7 to 8 thousand USD. And then after August, that's when things really started to take off. September, I did my first, I think, $98,000 month with 18% net margin. So I was really happy about that. So ever since like August, things really started to add up. I just have been hitting a six-figure months ever since then, very consistently. And yeah, the rest is history. You know. So right now I'm where I'm at. Basically, was able to make a comeback successfully, and I want to share some lessons from the past that based off my experiences in the past. Number one, your revenue don't mean shit. You know, people see the numbers like, oh, you know, if I like put on my Instagram bio, like $5 million sold, you know, you see like so many people like in the bio, 8 figure entrepreneur, 8 figure sales plus Shopify. But how much of it do you actually keep? How much profit is it? And the thing is, like when I sold over $5 million, if I look at how much profit I actually made out of the 5 million, probably it's like 300, 400K. I mean, it's still a decent amount, but 300, 400K in comparison to 5 million, it's like nothing. It's like 7, 8%. It's like 7 or 8% of the total number, right? So don't really think so much about your revenue. Focus more on your profits. And this is also what I tell my friends, who are getting into dropshipping right now is don't look at your sales. I mean, sales is nice to look at, but what you should really be focusing on is your daily profit, optimizing for that. And even for me right now, when I'm assessing my daily performance, I don't look at my daily sales anymore. I just focus on my daily profits because at the end of the day, that's what matters. Okay, revenue number one doesn't mean shit. You can make like 100K months, but if you actually break even on 100K, you're just like wasting a bunch of time. So lesson number one. Lesson number two, track your goddamn personal expenses. I've seen so many people. I was one of them. Trust me. They don't track their personal expense, and then they just wonder where all the money they have made gone to. Because here's the thing, man. Here's the thing. Hear me out. Your when you, especially if you're young, right? When you start making money when you're young, right? You just spend a little bit here, spend a little bit there. You don't really think about all these like small, payments that you're making. I still remember, I would just like walk around one day. I'll go into a shop, and later I just spend like $300 without even thinking, and I'll just walk away. I just bought like a sunglasses, $300. um and it just adds up. All these expenses adds up. I probably at the point of time I was probably easily spending like 8K a month, 10K a month for the entire year. I didn't even think about it. I didn't even know. I thought I was spending less than that, but I was spending so much money on like nonsensical things that was unnecessary, and I wasn't tracking it. So that's a really 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 big financial mistake that I made, which guys don't make it. Number two, always track your personal expense. Don't go crazy on them, and make sure that your personal expense is attributed to maybe around like 30 to 40% of your income. At least that's where I'm at right now. My expense, I no longer let it run more than 30% of whatever I make. Maybe about 30 to 40%. So that is that. Number three, don't overlook refunds and overheads. So the thing about dropshipping is, when you start making sales, when you start making money, that's not your real profit, right? You know why? Because at the end of the month, you gotta pay your staff, you gotta pay your team, you gotta pay the subscription fees, you gotta pay the apps, and you gotta the people who wants to get a refund, you gotta give them a refund, right? You can't just be like, no, we're not gonna offer any refunds. You gotta all these different expenses and all these different things, they add up as well. So you wanna make sure that your system is optimized in such a way that you're giving refund out in a very you have a very efficient system for giving handling out refunds. You know that it's not gonna go above, like for example, in my case, it doesn't go above 4% a month. So that's like a very reasonable amount, and we can still have like a decent level of customer satisfaction while giving while trying to minimize a refund. We offer like different methods, such as offering them a complimentary product. In many cases, that's way better than giving out a free refund, because a complimentary product could be just one third of the cost of whatever you're gonna refund them. So things like this to like kind of like mitigate your to lower your refund rates and also your overheads. That's where I got fuck in the ass. That's where I really got really got hit really hard, because I was just like spending so much money on my team, paying them like 12 to 15K a month. And then in order for me to even break even, I needed to make like 15K. And back then my level of business development just wasn't there. My strategy, I just wasn't able to find that enough amount of winners to, if I was doing $1 million a month in sales, yeah, paying 15K a month to my team would be nothing. But the thing is, I was doing like 100K to 200K a month in sales on average, and that was almost like 10% of my basically monthly sales, and that's just way too much. So I wasn't able to sustain with the overhead. So you want to keep your business as lean as possible. And right now, I'm super blessed because of the way I structure my company, the way I structure my team. I'm able to keep my costs. I'm able to keep my team costs around like, I think it's about 4K a month. Yeah, last month I paid about 4K. Last month I did about 150K. So 4K is less than 3% of the total sales. Keep the business as lean as possible. That's super duper important. Okay. Lesson number four: be willing to adapt fast if things are not working out. So back then I probably should have stopped already, if things like if the sales wasn't coming enough and I was like spending too much on overheads. Firstly, I probably should have like just let go most of my team, to be honest, because it just I was spending too much and they wasn't like giving me enough of the ROI. So probably should have done that, to be honest. But also like just being willing to adapt fast, like okay, you know what, maybe this way of doing things wasn't working, or maybe I should try a different niche. For example, fashion. Back then I didn't even think about doing fashion, back from 2018 all the way to 2023. Literally never sold a fashion product before. Literally. I think maybe I've tested a few products out of like 1,000 products I've tested, but I didn't even like give fashion a go. I didn't really even think that it's possible to sell fashion back then. I was so like narrow minded. It wasn't until like I saw my friend Jordy, right now also my mentor. He said he was doing 100, 200K months fashion. I was like, oh shit, that's actually possible. Then I seen other people doing like $1 million months with fashion. I was like, oh, wow, maybe fashion is actually where it's at. And turn out it seems like fashion is actually where it's at least for me, a bit of following my strategy. Okay, the final lesson, which is probably like one of the most important lesson in terms of generating profits from a business, which is the fact that your testing strategy needs to be cost effective. And this is like so important, right? So back then, I wasn't able to keep a lot of the money, was because besides the high money overhead expense, giving out refunds, yada yada. Also because I was what do you call that? I was spending too much on testing. I remember, there was this particular year, just right before I quit dropshipping, I actually found a winning product that made me about 100K in a month, and I netted about, I think, 25K a month. And it was a funny thing, right? I think that was like in somewhere in 2022 or like very early 2023. The next 2 months, I literally lost like 70% of my profits into testing, and I didn't find a single winner. So I made 25K, for example, in month one, right, I made 25K USD profit. Month two, month three, I lost like 15K or like 16K. And that was the point where I decided, like, oh shit, I'm just gonna stop the dropshipping shit. And also I got banned like everywhere, like, it was almost like God is telling me to like find like a different path in life. Got banned from the payment processors, all my stores got taken down. My IP got blacklisted, my payment processors, I couldn't get any payment processor at the point of time. It was almost like, yeah, the universe telling me, I'm like, bro, take a break. And yeah, for that, I just listened and just kind of move on. So yeah, the testing strategy must be very cost effective. And that's actually one of the reasons, right, why I'm able to stay so consistent over the past 5 months, ever since getting back into drop shipping in 2025. I'm super grateful, man, to have actually met Jolly. Because he's the one that actually showed me how to actually do things and gave me the systems and literally just helped me out because he saw me as a friend, he loved me, and I love him as well. So I'm super thankful for that. Um, but yeah, you want to apply the same methodology to your business as well, which is to have a strategy that is cost effective, right? Because if you're spending 10K to find a winner that generates anywhere from 10 to 20K in profit, for example, this is just a very abstract example, you won't be able to be sustainable in a business because every time you find a winner, maybe that winner makes like 12K, 15K, but then you already invested 10K. Then you still gotta pay your overheads, you still gotta pay your refunds. It's just not sustainable in the long term. So that is super important. And if you want to learn more about actually how I'm able to keep my testing costs very low, like literally right now, right, I'm at a point where I won't say all my stores, because we our strategy is kind of different from others. We focus on scaling horizontally instead of vertically. So we have like right now for me, I have like 17 stores. Each store they maybe do on average about 300, $500 a day in sales. So I do about maybe a 5K a day. But all these stores they kind of like stack up the revenue. And instead of having like one store where we scale really big, we have like a lot of stores. That's how we're able to cap the consistency over the past 5 months. Yeah, but anyway, if you want to learn more about like, how I'm able to keep my testing super cheap and still get good results, being able to start with a low budget, relatively low budget. I did start with much money as well. You can check out some of the videos that I made in my channel. And also, if you want to learn from me and my mentor who actually did $3.8 million in sales last year through fashion dropshipping, you can join my free Discord community down in the link below where we're actually gonna launch a course next by this month. We are in the works of filming and everything. That depends on how fast Jolly films it because I'm in charge of marketing. He's in charge of the education and everything. Yeah, but if you basically want to learn personally from us, you can just join a link and yeah, I'll be happy to like, help you guys and share what's actually working for me right now. And yeah, I guess that's it for this video. If you like this video, leave a like and subscribe as well. I hope you guys learned something from it. I guess yeah, this is as real as it gets.